Well, I would like to welcome everyone here today and our viewing audience of 8/8 of 2019 meeting of the City of Davenport Zoning Board of Adjustment. Your participation in city government is appreciated and welcome. If you have a pager or cell phone, please turn it off now. Even if in silent mode, it may interfere with the room's electronics. My name is Jim Reistroffer. I'm the vice chair of the committee. To my left, and our newest member is Mr. Quinn, Tom Quinn. To our right is Carrie Strahill, and to our far right is Judith Lee. Absent is Lynn Cochran, which she's supposed to be here any time. Staff present, Ryan Rushak, and our attorney is Mallory Hoyt. Welcome, staff. The Zoning Board of Adjustment is a 5-member judiciary board established by the state law. We are appointed by the mayor, confirmed by city council to serve without compensation for a 5-year period or term. We normally meet twice each month to hear appeals involving hardships from strip application of the current zoning laws. We also grant special exemptions and rule on a variety of discretionary permits. Is there any corrections to the meetings from our last meeting? Seeing none? Okay. Seeing none, can I get a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second? Okay. All in, okay. Somebody has to second. Tom, would you like to?
I'll second.
Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, passed. Is there any old business, which I see none? New business. We have one item on the agenda, and it's as follows. Request HV 19-09 of Robert and Pamela Danielson at 2804 Farnham Street for a hardship variance to encroach 7 feet into the required 20-foot setback from the corner side lot line for a detached garage. The property is zone R-4C, single family and 2-family central residential zoning district. Section 17.09.030K.3.P of the Davenport Municipal Code reads, where there's no alley access and the garage or carport is located in the corner side yard and takes access from the abutting street, the garage or carport must be set back 20 feet from the corner side lot line. Staff, Ryan.
Good afternoon. Ryan Rusnak with Community Planning. Here's the property location. It's at the northwest corner of Farnham Street, which runs north and south, and East Garfield Street. It's right here. Here's a Google Street View viewing from Farnham Street. This garage was built, the assessor records indicate it was built in 1974. When we started talking with the petitioner about this, quickly realized obviously he does not have alley access. I'll get into this a little bit more with my hardship. But what you see, generally speaking, in this area is these lots have a minimum amount of frontage on the main street, and then they run the full depth to the alley. It makes them actually quite long, allows them to have alley access for their garage. That's the predominant pattern in this neighborhood and throughout the city. You will see on occasion situations like this, where this was probably the original lot, and because this had street frontage, they bifurcated the lot and an additional house was built on that lot. You can see it over here in this case, but you also have corner lots that do have the alley access, and over here and over here. So in those situations, it really becomes what we call a postage stamp lot. And there's not much room for anything other than a house, a garage, and your front yard. So that became quite apparent to me. We do have a new zoning ordinance. The previous zoning ordinance allowed the garage in generally what we call the line of sight. we'd kind of draw a line between the house, the other house, and this house, and we'd call that the line of sight. And the garage could be situated in that. It may be a little closer to the street than that, or it may be at that setback, generally speaking. The new code's a little bit different. And in the previous code, we did not allow a garage to be in what we called the front or corner yard. So a garage was not allowed in the old zoning ordinance to be anywhere here. But you know, if the house was actually built closer to the street, then that house would also, the garage would also actually have that same benefit. The new zoning ordinance, what it says is that if you have a corner lot and you don't have alley access, you're allowed to build a garage actually in the corner side yard, but you need to have a 20-foot setback from the property line. Okay, and we kind of reasoned why is that 20-foot there. 20-foot requirement, as we reason, is generally about the size of a parking lot, a parking stall, right? We don't want situations where you're at 14 feet from the property line and then you have somebody park in your driveway and you're hanging out into the over the sidewalk. I would like to point out, zoom in, but the right-of-way is actually quite wide in these neighborhoods. It does change over here, but this is actually a 60-foot right-of-way. Sidewalk's closer to the street here, and then there's a decent amount of green space until you reach the property line. And so that, and you know, in newer subdivisions, you'll see a 50-foot right-of-way, and then they put easements next to it to really allow utility providers. I really think that these roads were platted as larger right-of-ways to allow streets, sidewalks, and then utilities can go in that back space as well. Fortunately, I need to. I'll pull up the petitioner's rendering when he's speaking. I forgot to put it in my PowerPoint. 17.14, I think that's of the Davenport Municipal Code sets forth the approval standards. Standards are a little different. I thought they were harder in the last ordinance. Strict application of this ordinance would result in a hardship. As I mentioned about the lot, I think the hardship in itself is that the lot's 59 by 90. That's a pretty small lot. Usually the full depth is 150 in those other ones. Petitioner's not the one who created this lot situation. So we have a very narrow lot, and you also have a situation where you have an excess right-of-way, right? So what the petitioners like to do is encroach into that corner side yard. Again, you're allowed to encroach in the corner side yard. It's just asking to move it a little bit forward. We did talk about it, and from the sidewalk location to the garage, there would be that 20-foot dimension. So staff doesn't have a concern that's going to overhang onto the sidewalk. So I think the configuration of the lot, as well as the width of the right-of-way, is a hardship. Particular physical surroundings, shape, topography. Again, I think it's another lot size situation, and the fact that there's no alley access is really creating a hardship in this case. Number 3, unique circumstances. I already talked about the fact that these corner lots are a little different than the other lots. They've been carved and cut in half, and again, I think this creates the hardship. And then if the granting of the variance is granted, it doesn't alter the essential character of the area. I would probably feel differently if this were an attached garage, but this is a detached garage. Detached garages are dominant through this part of the city. And I think the request itself is pretty reasonable. We're not asking for the petitioner's not asking for a 900 square foot garage. This is literally a 20-foot wide garage by 24 feet. You know, if you kind of focus back on the aerial, this is essentially the petitioner's backyard. Little patio back here. And so if you're asking for compliance with the 20-foot setback, we're just basically taking up what very little usable space that the petitioner has for his yard. So it was staff's opinion that that the request does achieve consistency with the approval standards for a hardship variance, and so we do recommend granting of the variance. We would ask that it be in accordance with the rendering that was submitted by the petitioner. And I know the petitioner is here, and if you give me a second, I can pull up that rendering.
Commissioners, you got any questions for Ryan? No?
I have
Go ahead, Judy.
just a quick one, just so I understand. The 20-foot setback is from the street, right?
It's actually from the property line.
Well, I'm sorry, the property line facing the street.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So if you look at the diagram in our zoning ordinance, it actually shows the measurement kind of from the sidewalk, but it's basically assuming that the property line and the back of the sidewalk are at the same place.
Yeah, Ryan, is his present garage gonna be about the same for the new one?
I think it increases by 4 feet. How much longer is it going to be? 2 feet. There, yes, actually the parking stall depth in the zoning ordinance is 18 feet, so 20 feet should be sufficient. And there is at least 20 feet, or there would be 20 feet from the sidewalk to the edge of the garage. And let me pull up that diagram.
I appreciated the rendering. I thought it was very
Yes.
clearly done and set up extraordinarily well.
We do. We don't always get those, so we're appreciative too. I don't know if you want to move on. If you don't have any questions for me, I'll pull this up and the petitioner is here.
Mr. Danielson, you want to come up to the mic and present your case, but could you please give us your full address and name?
Full address is 2804 Farnham Street, Davenport, Iowa, 52803.
You want to present your case?
Ryan pretty much summed up exactly what I'm trying to establish from a new garage, size, distances, and everything. I'd just like to answer any questions, if you have any. Thank you.
I did drive past your house this afternoon. You are very constrained.
It looks a little different than the picture does there.
Oh, yes, there is not that kind of spacing.
Yeah, well, as far as like the fence and stuff, we're just trying to make our property really look nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I move that we grant a variance in accordance with the rendering that Ryan is bringing up right now that petitioner submitted.
Second.
We should do roll call. Yep. I'll go ahead and do it. Lee,
I approve.
Strayhall,
Yes.
Cochran, Quinn, and Rice Stroffer.
Yeah. I nominate Jim Rystoffer.
Second.
Can we do a roll call?
We might as well. Oh. All right, so Strayhall,
Yes.
Quinn, Cochran, Lee,
Yes.
and Rice Stroffer. Yes. think he can as the chair, right? Can he make a? For a vice chair? Yeah, can he nominate a vice chair?
Sure, he's a member.
Okay. Yeah. Guess he's technically not chairperson yet.
I second.
Well, maybe he is. Now it gets vexed. Did I? Who made the second on that? Okay, Lee. Okay. All right. Quinn, Cochran, Lee,
Yes.
Strayhall, Rice Stroffer.
All in favor? You know, I always say this once a year, Ryan. I always say this once a year, but what? I don't have it on mute.
Cool. Thank you. I know at council, a lot of times they just say, what ward do you live in? So we could, you know, we'll work on the, Jim, we'll work on tweaking your write-up. I already prepped her, she knows. She knows what's coming.
So I'm a problem. You're not a problem. Just because you're concerned.
Well, that's
So it's about recusal, right? Is your concern and whether you should recuse yourself. So you recuse yourself anytime that you don't think that you would be able to make a decision based solely on the facts at hand, presented as presented, or if you would be perceived as having a bias. Do you think you'll be perceived as having a large bias? Yes. And it'd be very hard for you to look at only what's in the packet and not your.
I wouldn't have any problem with that because it's a completely different issue.
Okay. It was the liquor stuff before,
Well, it was
right?
the rezoning in the liquor
Yeah.
and setting that precedent in a neighborhood,
Sure.
you know, and
Sure.
yeah. So that's a different question. This,
Yeah.
I think what's gonna come up is a lot of the issues that were brought up on that one with traffic and litter
Sure.
and that kind of stuff.
What's the issue? Was it more pumps? Is that what he said?
The original issue, which I was very much involved in because I have more experience than anybody else in
Sure.
the area on any of
Sure.
this stuff, okay, was C2, changing from a C1 to a C2. The primary issue was the non-conforming was sales of liquor,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
And it's in a very neighborhood type thing. The place was not well kept. There were issues.
But the issue that would be before ZBA would be extra pumps.
I believe,
Okay.
I talked to Ryan a little bit, I believe it's gonna be extra pumps. What they did after the vote to not have the C2 is they had a great big container, you know, like you put on a ship type thing, that was stuffed over on the side and nobody knows center, but they moved it over, pushed it against the building, and put it on concrete, okay? They built concrete stands, put that thing on there, and stuffed it against the building.
It's bizarre.
So now what they're